All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. Trying to see who else is on there from the actual committee. Hey, Michelle.
Hey.
We're going to have to get together real soon.
I agree.
Some things. Yeah, we're going to need to get together really soon. Did I hear Evelyn Lugo on the call?
Yes, ma'am. Here I am. Sorry.
Good morning. Good morning. Glad to hear your voice. Happy New Year to all of you. We have not spoken since last year, and I think this is only our second meeting since we developed this this council. And I just want to thank all of you for taking up your time to be on the call this morning and to help us shape this division. It's brand new for CMA to have a small business advisory committee. And we wanted to create this committee so that you all can give us some guidance on how we can best serve our small minority business communities. And each of you brings something different to the table that can add value to what we do here at the commission. Since our last meeting, we have not had any major issues with small businesses as far as CMA being involved, but I'm hoping that that's going to change very soon. We have made lots of new partners. In the middle of COVID, I think we made over 60 new partners in with CMA, including Apprentice SC. We're working a lot with them to try and get more companies involved in setting up apprenticeship programs so that they can take advantage of the funds from the Department of Labor, as well as providing opportunities for folks, especially young people, to gain the experience in the workforce. So we're looking forward to that relationship growing quite a bit over the next year or so. Now, there are some bills that we've been following. Brenton's not on the call, he had an appointment. So I'm going to just briefly go over what he gave me this morning to talk about. There are three bills that we're looking at that regarding businesses. One is the local licensing fees, H4510, which establishes provisions regarding the imposition of local licensing fees, providing that a county or city where the business is located may not levy a license fee or tax to certain certificate holders. Now, what we're going to do with our legislative updates is we're going to send everybody a copy of it so you can keep up with what's going on there and advise us if we need to do something different, because you all have hands-on dealing with businesses in the community. And the next bill, H4769, it repeals provisions that relate to standardization of business license taxes, including the computation and collection of these taxes. It's amending State Law 6-1, 400, 410, and 420. And finally, there's an economic development study being conducted. They're asking the Department of Commerce to conduct an economic development study, H4831. The joint resolution directs the Department of Commerce to conduct an economic development study to evaluate the state's business advantages, economic climate, workforce readiness, and other relevant state assets to create a roadmap for South Carolina to effectively compete in attracting offshore wind energy supply chain industries. Those are the three bills that Brenton pulled together just to show some of the legislation that's out there. If there are others that you know of or you're interested in, please let us know. We try to keep up with what's going on so that we will be able to educate our businesses when they contact us, or we put it on our webpage so that they can see what's available or what's out there, and so that they can contact their elected officials. If it's something that's going to help their businesses, they need to learn to reach out and advocate for the business community, which is what we do. We advocate for the business community. And it is my hope that we would do some training teaching businesses how to advocate, especially small businesses, how to go to the General Assembly, talk about their concerns, and leave feeling like they're being heard. A lot of times that makes business owners feel, it gives them that sense of confidence that they need, knowing that they have a voice. And what we do is try to make sure that their concerns, their voices are loud and clear. We have been working with, we met with Rick Todd last week because we know that there's an issue with CDLs, big shortage of CDLs. And we also learned that Denmark Tech has just started its CDL program. The first class, I think, was Monday. They had 100 applicants. Most of those applicants are over 25, which is a good thing because we're looking, when you talk about CDL, you're talking about major responsibility. We're not talking about 18, 19-year-old getting on the road and going across state line with a truck and driving an 18-wheeler. We need some experienced people, responsible people. The younger ones can do local travel and can learn, but we need to really build that workforce with some seasoned people who have families, people we know will stay on the job. So we're looking at that, that first class, the Denmark Tech, trying to get trained and licensed with their CDLs, with hopes of some business owners being able to pick up some of those guys to drive trucks for them. We are also at the commission, we're working on a business directory. We're trying to identify companies who are interested in hiring ex-offenders. And that's a major concern. We are working with the Department of Corrections to try and come up with a database to help us identify those reentry folks who are reentering society, to determine how they best fit once they get out of prison. And that's going to take some work. I'm meeting with the Department of Corrections tomorrow. We're trying to come up with a plan on how we're going to track folks and how we're going to best prepare them for the world that they are about to face when they come out of prison. So therefore, we are looking for companies that will hire. We're also trying to work with community folks to determine what resources are out there in the community to help an ex-offender transition back into the community and be successful doing so. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. There's a whole workforce in our prison system, and we are going to have to start looking at some of these folks and determining the risk or the level of risk, because we want to make sure that employers are protected. We want to make sure the communities are protected. And the way to do that is to make sure we do thorough assessments of people who are coming out, to make sure that we pair them in the right places. When folks leave, many people who leave prison leave there with a skill. And we want to make sure those skills are put to use so that they will never have to return to prison ever again. We want to make sure that they have every opportunity to succeed once they come out. And we need the support of the business community to change the stereotype that, oftentimes follow an ex-offender. They usually leave prison with the bullseye on their back. As soon as they pull their record saying, oh, you can't work for me because you have a felony offense. And it could be an offense that the only thing this person has ever done wrong. So we've got to find a way to develop a better system to ensure employers that when we recommend someone, this person has gone through an assessment process, an exit process that has prepared them for society, bringing them back with their families homes, getting them in housing, transportation, and a good paying job. Right now, I'm going to have Anthony, who's the program manager for our small business division, give you an update on some of the things that we've got going on here at CMA. Some additional things. We got a lot going on at CMA.
All right. Thank you, Dr. DaCosta, and good morning to everyone on the line, and Happy New Year to those who I have not seen in 2022. It's actually good to see you. As Dr. DaCosta mentioned, we have a lot of different things going on, and this is our official second meeting since the creation or formation of this business, Small Business Advisory Council. I've had the opportunity to speak with a lot of the council members one-on-one, that I've met with one-on-one with a lot of you that's on the call today, and even some of the other ones that had other commitments that couldn't be here today that I spoke with one-on-one as well. And I just want to thank you for your service and your willingness to serve on this council, and the advice and input that you give, which is truly so valuable. As Dr. DaCosta mentioned, we've been forming since we started the council in June of 2021, strategic partnerships across the state, both public and private. And a lot of those have been instrumental that we've signed MOUs with. And I just want to mention a few so that everyone would know and just kind of bring you up to speed on it, such as SCDOT, the SBA, the South Carolina Trucking Association with Rick Todd, Michelle Abraham and her agency with the SBDCs, Francis Marion, Apprenticeship Carolina, SCASIT, and most recently, we signed an MOU with Operation Hope. For those of you who may or may not be familiar with that organization, it's actually a nonprofit organization that's nationwide, that is headed by John Hope Bryant. And they have different financial centers, or what they call financial coaches, that are located in different banking institutions throughout the U.S. They're headquartered out of Atlanta, Georgia, but they have major partnerships such as B of A, Truist Bank, and many others, CEOs that have committed to this organization, not just their time, but they've committed with their financial support as well. So we recently signed that MOU with them. And the goal and purpose of doing that is to move small and minority businesses in those communities, is what Doc and I like to consider from poverty to prosperity, is what we're deeming it and theming it, moving them from poverty to prosperity. And how we're doing that is going to be through a lot of financial coaching that is actually at no cost to the business owner, is what Operation Hope brings to the table. The number one call that I get weekly from small and minority business owners is access to capital. And Mariah and Takia and other those who are on the council that actually work in the financial institution, they can verify what I'm saying, that is one of the major barriers to small and minority businesses, is access to capital. And so what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be creating training or technical assistance that prepares the small and minority business owner, or even the entrepreneur, the steps that it takes to get ready for financing, which is getting your credit in order. We know that, yes, that, you want to get a loan, but the credit must be in order to be able to do that, because that is a barrier. And having that business plan in place. And Michelle, that's where your organization and others like SCASIT will come into place. And I know you're doing it right now with the SBDC. It's helping those business owners write that business plan that outlines their vision, not only for what they plan to do, but also forecasting how they plan to make money. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to make money. While you're in business, is to make money and be profitable. And so we're looking at doing that for, number one, sustainability for our small and minority businesses. Number two is to promote growth. So that is the whole plan of the why behind what we're doing and how you come to play in this. And keeping in that theme, one of the things that we're actually doing is that we are pursuing a rural business development grant for $500,000. The agency, CMA, actually received a previous grant a few years ago that was similar to this, and we're going to be pursuing the maximum amount is $500,000, and we're going to be pursuing that. Our research department, we've already collaborated with them in-house, and they're supplying us data with that is going to be instrumental into providing technical assistance and support in rural areas. And what we've done is that we have identified 10 rural areas or counties where we're going to be providing a business consulting to help uplift those communities. And it's not just for those already doing business, but it's for entrepreneurs as well. I'm going to send you the list of the 10 counties, but I just want to mention a few because as I'm traveling around the state, I like to call it the big three when it comes to South Carolina. We know what the big three counties are. Can anybody tell me the big three? Charleston,
Greenville,
County, and Greenville, are the big three. So what we want to do at CMA is that we want to spread the wealth. I had an opportunity to visit with Dr. DaCosta, Bamberg County on last week, had an opportunity to go up to Aiken. Les, I've been down there where you are in Florence County. And so also went up to Chester and Lancaster counties as well. So the need is there. The need is there. And what this grant is going to do, it's going to help promote business and job creation for sustainability that promotes economic wealth and enhancement for those businesses. And so that's the next thing that we have coming up. We're going to be submitting that grant. The deadline is the 28th of this month. We've already begun that process in doing that, and we will keep you updated on that. The next thing that I want to share with you is that when we first started the council, I wanted to get your feedback because I'm big on feedback as far as with regards with assessments, and that's going to help guide us or be our guiding light or our north on which direction that we actually headed. And so I sent out a small business advisory council survey that I got some feedback on from some of you, from some of the council members, because I wanted to know, because you're doing it daily. And so I need to really pick your brains on what you're doing and what you're hearing from the smaller minority business owners as you're out there in community working with them on a daily basis. And from the results from the council, what the council members said, we asked, okay, what should our focal point be? And the council members shared that we should be focused on initiatives that promote and develop small minority business through the workforce, through monitoring the trends. Our research department has actually have some data on the number of businesses that were open, whether they were male, female, Hispanic, Latino, Native American, which businesses were closed, how much revenue that they're earning, and they've shared that data with me. Another thing that the survey revealed, the feedback that you gave me, was that small and minority business owners need to understand how to read and understand their financial statements. One of the things that happened in 2020, when the CARES Act funding was available to small and minority business owners, we had over 9,000 that actually applied to receive that funding. But only about 2,600 actually qualified to receive it. The reason being their financials weren't in order. They weren't recognized as a business because they hadn't created a legal LLC. They didn't have a tax ID number, those type things. They didn't have a business checking or savings account. So it blocked them for qualifying for federal dollars. And so with it, what we're seeing is that financial literacy and basic business understanding is needed for some of our small and minority businesses, especially those in rural areas. Another point that was mentioned or brought up in the survey was that our small and minority business owners need to understand the procurement process. When they're trying to get contracts with SCDOT, what is that certification process like? What do I need to do as a business owner? What do I need to have in place? How do I become DBE certified to do business with SCDOT or the county that I'm in? I could be in Florence County or Aiken County. What does that process look like? And so our goal is to really reach out to those rural areas in this upcoming 2022 year. The last thing that I want to mention before I kind of get some feedback from the council members and others that are on the call is that we provided a list of CDFIs that is posted on our website. We know that this is secondary funding that could be available or financing that could be available to a small or minority business owner. And there's a list, it's on the business website that they can actually go to, because that is a call that I receive weekly. Is funding available? How do I get funding to start or grow or expand my business? And so we need to make sure that we're connecting the dots in the right places. And so right now, what I would like to do is, well, first of all, before I move on from the council members, are there any questions or feedback on that? I know it was kind of a lot of information. Any feedback on that before we move to the next?
Hey, Anthony, this is Chad.
Hey, Chad, how's it going, man?
Good, man.
Good, man.
We're an EDA Innovation Center or University Center, and we've had it for, probably the last 10 years. And we've been very focused on innovation, innovation, entrepreneurship and stuff like that, working with a lot of small businesses on that front, partnering with people like the technical colleges, SBDC, and things like that. I think that one of the things that has happened to us is because of COVID, we actually found that a lot of the work we were doing with small businesses on the entrepreneurial side, which like a lot of those were minority and female owned. We discovered that a lot of the stuff we were doing with those companies and also the work we're doing with industry, we've developed this kind of industry outreach center. We discovered during COVID that a lot of that had pretty significant workforce development, education and skilling ramifications. So I actually know what a CDFI is, which I didn't know that about 4 months ago. So one of the things that's happened to us, and we actually just got off a call with the UNC EDA University Center. That center is very focused on what I would call what we're looking at in this committee, which is how do we do this kind of ground up economic development. We've not, we're not better. We were just different. We were looking at the top down kind of innovation, how we drive innovation down. Mm-hmm. But I would say one of the things that we're going to be doing with this North Carolina University Center is matching those two, matching the kind of bottom up and the top down. And an example of what we're doing is we've actually got this industry outreach center. We were focused on solving industry problems. What we found out was we were actually creating more qualified workers and workforce because we were letting these engineering students get exposed to industry problems. We're doing that same thing. We just announced before the holidays, we're doing that with Lexington One School District. And we're inviting in high school kids to these environments to let them work directly with companies like Nephron, IBM, BMW. And the goal there is how do we connect the dots how do we get these kids exposed to kind of real life scenarios? A big part of this too is we can do this virtually. So we could take this environment anywhere in the state. We could take it to rural areas. We could run these programs on the rural side, and they could take a field trip maybe once or twice a semester to come visit the physical center. But we really feel like we're onto something here. We're not just looking at people getting college degrees. We're looking at how do we actually connect the dots between skill gaps. A big one's soft skills. A big one is emotional intelligence. How do those play out in applied environments? So and then the other part of this is we actually through this work got a grant from Truist to our incubator. We're working with a guy named Lester Young in Columbia, who's actually in my Leadership Columbia class. He's got a group called Path to Redemption. He's partnered with a group called he's with the Meeting Place Church, Eric Freeman and Nat Durant. We've actually given them about 60 grand of Truist money for helping former ex-cons get forklift certificates. And I think we're doing a plumbing one. So, one of the things that I think is interesting is finding people like Lester who kind of have credibility with that community. And we're getting these people credentials. And I think CVS is part of this too. But we're getting ready to go back for another round with Truist. And, what I've told Eric Freeman at the Meeting Place Church, and I've told Lester, I said, look, man, the federal government would never give you guys money, but they'll give me money. And I can help get it to you guys. So I think that we're absolutely interested in how do we connect these dots and to address these systemic issues. And so we've actually created a research group here at university with College of Education, in College of Engineering, and all of us. And the goal is how do we create different learning modalities? How do we focus not on just degrees, but how do we focus on skilling, and certificates and micro certificates? So part of this is really like, how do we flip this education system on its head and help these communities like the ones we're talking about, this whole group is focused on, that aren't going to maybe go to college or school's not a challenge for them. But if we get them the right skill set, it really doesn't matter. They can be productive. And the last thing I'll say is that we also are going to give a certain amount of this Truist money to Ben Rex and a group called Catalyte. And so another thing, and I just want to bring it to the attention of the group, is Catalyte has gone and gotten like 30, 40 grand from investment to do these big IT certification programs. Their ideal client is a minority, male, female, whatever, that they can raise their wage from, $15 an hour to 40. We're actually, so this is, and we're going to put this story out, but I think it's something that everybody needs to hear. We're actually going to provide scholarship money to 10 individuals to go through this program. We're not paying for their education. We're paying for them to buy groceries and pay rent and not have to have a job while they take this training. And I think that another thing we need to shine a light on, because it's a very common majority position that says, I don't understand why people aren't, lifting themselves up on their bootstraps. We're providing all this money for training and education. What's not being addressed is how do we support these people, to live while they do this stuff.
That's right.
So,
Right.
So, we've, like I said, we've kind of bumped into this. My connections in the faith community, funny enough, kind of got me there. So I told some, I'm kind of living the dream where the worlds are all colliding. But I would say like the work these guys are doing is phenomenal. And the problems that need to be addressed are, they're expansive, just like I said, and they're not obvious. Whoever's doing the trucking stuff, my family has a trucking insurance company. I'd love to talk. I can talk offline on that one. That's okay. You guys don't want to listen to that, but I can give you some insights on some problems that we see getting young truckers or getting people in there other than certifications. It's actually a pretty complicated thing. So anyway, those are just some things we're doing. And I would say that one of the things that we're doing in our next EDA Center grant, where proposals coming out next couple of months, we're actually going to be partnering or having a partnership with North Carolina. And we're looking at some of the work that they're doing in Walterboro with Kelly. Kelly, I just got to talk to her, but you know, we're venturing into this space. So I would just say, consider us a partner. We're love to collaborate, but I think that one thing we found out with our position at University of South Carolina is we can kind of walk in anywhere and nobody asks why we're there. And we're kind of, we can kind of wear a ton of different hats, but we're very interested in moving the needle on this front in terms of skilling, upskilling, skilling, and addressing workforce needs. And we see huge opportunities for the minority communities in these high need areas like cybersecurity, IT, et cetera. So we're fat in the middle of this. So, you know, let's keep talking.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Chad. I appreciate that. When you mentioned Lester Young is really my poster child. We work a lot with Lester because Lester helps us to gauge and plan out how we're going to develop the right kind of reentry program. And we're actually working with the Department of Corrections on this reentry process and we're relying on Lester. There are several people who have spent time in prison who have come out and they're doing well. And what they're doing is giving back to the community. We are partnering with a lot because they know firsthand what it takes to go from prison to prosperity. They've lived it, and we depend on them to share their testimonies, their stories, and to help us shape what we do here at the commission. And when you talk about partnership, we're in a partnership right now with ATI out of Somerville, and they are providing internships for students from the HBCUs to teach them how to pair them with some of their engineers so they'd get life skills on cybersecurity or other IT situations. So you are right in the ballpark of the kinds of things we'd like to do or see done in this state between public-private partnerships. So I really would like to talk with you more about what you're doing with your EDA grants and what have you, to see how the commission can join forces with you to help develop an audience so that we can make sure that these opportunities get to the right places and allow particularly minority students to take advantage of these opportunities.
Yeah, and I would say too, the crazy thing about it, and so one of the things that I think, and I told somebody, I learned it when I went on a mission trip to Haiti, is that, you know, what the majority community, I think, needs to be more focused on is not how do we go in and to these communities and address these people groups, but how do we actually create champions and
Absolutely.
support them. So I've told Eric Freeman and Lester, I said, man, don't ever put me on stage with you guys. Cause like, you know, I mean, you know, let's just be honest. I'm like, look, you know, the last thing that, you know, and I've learned this from my mentor, my African-American buddies in the incubator, you know, like I need if it's a group of Black men who have been in prison, I need a Black man who's been in prison to be up there, you know, preaching the gospel. And I need the same thing.
That's a true statement.
And I need the same thing with women. And so the real question we're having is like, how do we use our position of influence and then, you know, not me, but like, how do I find those champions? How do I support them? And then, you know, and really most importantly, how do we get out of the way? And I think like with Lester and Eric Freeman and Nat, like it's been great. And I will tell you, the cool thing about it is, and this is way more than you want to know, but I actually went to my church, Jeff Shipman, who's my pastor. And I told Jeff Shipman, I said, look, Jeff, I said, we're doing all this outreach into Gonzales Gardens and all these areas that are surrounding our church and off St. Andrews Road, Ashland Road area. I said, man, if we actually did what the Black church is doing to their community, we'd be moving the needle, and which is, you know, we need to have an economic, the churches can have a really unique role in
That's right.
economic development and supporting these things. And so Jeff's crazy. So the thing about Jeff that I love is Jeff actually went over to the Kingdom Vision guy and the other guy who's on Broad River and I-20, who's got the old service merchandise. We're talking about what would that the meeting place model look like for what would the meeting place model look like for that area, and how can
Absolutely.
so and here's the other thing, going back to the and this is actually the discussion I had on the last call. How do we do things to increase pipeline? How do we do things to create more Black leaders and minority leaders that are qualified to be on board seats, that are qualified to be university presidents, that, how do we get them? And so, one thing about Eric Freeman, I tell people is like, Eric Freeman is a bishop, but Eric Freeman was with Pfizer, and Eric Freeman understands finance, and Eric Freeman understands business.
There it is. That's right.
And so, like, I think that he's not only a role model because he's in the faith community, but he's a role model because he's been there, done that. And because he's been there, done that, he knows how to pave the way. So, I mean, I don't want to get off to the trail too much.
But we will definitely
you're
continue
good.
that conversation. We will definitely continue that because we are working with Representative Terry Alexander to develop a faith-based organization to help do exactly what you're talking about. So we will definitely continue that conversation. Rick Todd, I see your hand up. Your hand is raised.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Dolores. I had on mute. I'm at the State House, so I apologize for tuning in a little bit late and for my position here. Chad had mentioned trucking and said he'd be happy to talk offline. So Chad, reach out to me and I'd love to see what you're talking about and see what we can do.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right. I figured you were at the State House. I kind of, because everything's going on up there today.
Well, we're trying to make it go, but
Did you have any other updates? I see you are next on the schedule. Did you have any additional information?
me?
Yes.
No, not from since we had a meeting.
Right. I told him, yeah, we already met.
Yeah. So no, we've just got a lot of stuff going on, but I think nothing that would benefit the group at this time.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rick. And I'm sure Chad will get in touch with you. And
right.
I don't know, Anthony, did you update Rick on our meeting at Denmark Tech?
No, I haven't talked with him. I'll reach out to you today,
All right.
Rick, if
Yeah.
if you got
Okay.
time, whenever you get back.
Yep. Appreciate
That'll
that.
be
All
fun.
right, appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone else in the group? Michelle, would you like to share anything this morning?
Well, one thing I'll share, because some of you folks probably aren't aware of this. We launched a program last year, and it's really been in collaboration with CMA. And Dolores and Anthony have both been helping us with this. As we've been talking about, outreach to some of these minority communities and areas that are harder to get to. And this is a more of a customized program to try to focus on those areas and get to people. And to the point of that somebody made, it's really about not just helping these business owners build their own businesses and their personal success, but challenging them to get on board, to work with us, to uplift their communities as part of the work that we're doing together. So we call the program the Bridge, and Bridge is an acronym for Better Resources for Inclusion, Dialogue, Growth, and Equity. I always have to stop and think. And we have been working with a number of the HBCUs on this, and it includes some unique ways of approaching people in the beginning to try to help build that trust and credibility and get a stronger relationship and commitment to working together established. And we do a lot of one-on-one consulting on, whatever issues they specifically have, but we also are doing a series of podcasts that are involving subject matter experts. We're looking to include successful minority business owners that may be willing to come on and share some of their experiences and how they made, success, including alumni of the HBCUs. Certainly want to include them as we identify them. And then we're doing a very specific training or educational program series that gets at the topics that we're learning are most critical. And obviously you've already mentioned this several times this morning, but the whole financial piece of, understanding the financial documents, learning how to get all your financial documents in the bookkeeping system in order, all those kinds of things. But it also gets into marketing and sales, a number of other aspects. So it's, and I'll put our website address up here, but people can go online and sign up for the program. We've had over 50 people register to this point. And that's been in a matter of, we actually stood it up right before the holidays. So that's really been in the month of January with limited promotion on it. But we also are hiring students from the various HBCUs, and they are part of what we're calling a virtual student center. Some of them are doing customer service. We have one that's really helping us internally with marketing and the podcast series and all of those pieces. And we have students that we've been doing a lot of intense training with on using different databases to do market research for clients, create marketing research studies, financial projection work, those kinds of things. So we're really excited about this. Like I said, it's about more than just helping an individual business, but uplifting the community at the same time. So I just encourage you to check out our website and let people know about it. We're really excited about reaching some of those folks that we haven't been able to get to before.
Thank you so much. We appreciate partnering with Michelle and her team. They have been great working with CMA and helping us to maneuver through some of the challenges that small businesses face every day. And I appreciate all that you do. And if there's anything else that CMA can do to help you along the way, to reach out to us.
Oh, yeah. We've been talking to Anthony, and I'll just quickly mention one other thing because Evelyn's on the phone. We have developed a partnership with the South Carolina Hispanic Chamber and ourselves to stand up a bilingual Hispanic consulting service.
Very good.
So we're in the process of hiring our first consultant now, and it's a very collaborative effort. I'm so be working with Evelyn and her team. They're a great partner, and there'll be more to tell you about that.
Wonderful. And she makes great desserts. Evelyn, do you want to say anything? You haven't brought me any desserts lately.
Oh my goodness. I think that I have to probably, I'm just longing for a in-person meeting.
Absolutely.
Because really, I can bring all those goodies and we can have a blast.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
And we have Ivan Segura on the line too. And those Mexican pastries too are awesome. I have a couple of friends that they do awesome things, so we can collaborate in that regard. But Michelle, thank you for mentioning that. I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity of being in partnership with you in doing this so long-awaited bilingual consultant. And we are in the process as well under the Community Navigator pilot program to hire 2 more. Mm-hmm. So it will be yours, it will be 2 in our side, and then myself as well. And this is a great start and opportunity. We've been doing the education, technical education, and accesso, which is access to capital to these micro businesses for more than 10 years. And in that component of having dedicated people to navigate the system through consulting, it is just amazing, Michelle. So thank you again for the opportunity. We are looking forward to 2 years plus of awesome job work and really impacting our community that is so much needed. So thank you again. I have so much to say, but I know that the call is not just for me and for, but I'm excited, and I'm listening to all of you, and how is it that everything really weave to our community. Yeah, I just heard Mr. Hathaway talking about the faith community, and in our case is totally different. And I just send Ivan a little note about that we need to kind of get together and talk about that, our experiences with our faith-based organizations, churches, and share experience and see how we can at the same time do it in our community, because it is different. I can tell you, it is different from other communities, and we need to tackle that too. We have a lot of business owners going to church, and I think that is a way of reaching out as well.
Absolutely, I agree, and we are definitely going to engage the faith-based community because they are instrumental in economic development in our communities, particularly rural areas that are hard to reach. We have to rely on the churches to help us connect the dots. So we will be talking more about that as we form our faith-based coalition so that we can address some of these issues that plague all of our communities in different ways. I think I see Greg Davis online.
Yes,
Greg,
ma'am.
do you have any money for us from transportation? You're muted. Greg Davis, you're muted. All right, maybe he's not hearing me. We'll come back to Greg. Les Eccles, what's going on at the Chamber in Florence?
Chamber in Florence, one of our big things throughout the years has been our Emerging Leaders Summer Institute. And I tie it in because it ties with some of the programs here a little bit. What we did is we have our Leadership Florence program, which is a 9-month program, but it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of resources. So I created a summer program to kind of give some of those same resources to some of our small businesses here. Give them a 5-session program to enable them to kind of get out in the community, meet potential funding entities, potential partners, et cetera. So that's one of the programs that we run through the summer. Of course, we do our building rapport with different agencies. We have a score here now.
Very good.
We have a score
Excellent.
on site. So that's been our biggest, the biggest bridge between us and developing small business. SBDC has always been a great partner here. Eddie Watson, of course, retired, but SBDC is still here, and we send quite a bit of referrals there with the intention of not reinventing the wheel. We have the service
Sure.
there. Of course, Brianna Dennis, who's on the call, I've sent quite a few people to her as well, and we collaborate. She does a lot of small business events as well. And again, she's right down the street. So, we tend to have people come in, we can collaborate, or either her folks come to our events, or our folks go to her events. So we have a lot of resources that we're building on here for small minority businesses, but a big part of it is partnership for us.
Absolutely.
And getting the word out too, Doc, when we have when there are resources out there for small businesses, when the city, county has resources, part of our job is to go to them and find out why aren't the small businesses getting money.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
So that's part of our job as a chamber, is to really advocate, to openly advocate for small business with our local and as well as state elected officials. So
wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And if there's anything that CMA can do along the way, just holler, just give us a call. Brianna, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Well, we service the PD region, and like Les said, we have gotten much better at collaborating. I think the chamber and Francis Marion have always collaborated, but we're reaching different avenues with SCORE. We've actually turned over a lot of our training to SCORE, and so we've backed off on our workshops so that we could further promote SCORE. So we're looking at now focusing in different areas. Our incubator has been very successful. We're full again. And this year, well, actually last year, we moved into a traditional and a virtual model, so we can run simultaneous models for those who need office space and those who don't. We also this year have brought in 2 nonprofits, and nonprofits were not going to be a core base for our incubator, but for those nonprofits who have been trying, they are somewhat sustainable, but need some assistance in refining their process. We're now testing nonprofits. We'll see how that goes in incubation. It's a different model. And then we also work with the school district and technical schools. We're now working on their 2nd edition of their Perkins 5 funding. So we're about to go deeply into workforce development needs for our region. And so I am delighted with some of the resources that were mentioned, including the Second Chance, because that is an area that special populations is considered. So I've already pulled a lot of resources just from this session. So thank you so much for pulling this together.
Absolutely. I saw your president, you're Francis Marion, right?
Yes.
I saw your president last week when the Department of Ed, they were talking about funding. I met him.
Yes.
Terry Alexander introduced me to him last week. And you
Dr.
have
Carter. Dr. Carter is a powerhouse.
And you have Dukes as your lobbyist, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
We go way back. I've known him for over 20 years.
He's
and when I saw him in the elevator, I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm working for Francis Marion." Oh my God. Very good.
He's fantastic.
Yes, he is. He really is. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else on the committee that I've omitted? I can't see all the names. I'm going to call Greg Davis and let him know that he didn't answer my call.
I think Nate Spells.
Nate, I can't see his name. Morning, Nate.
No, I see his name.
He's on mute.
Yeah.
Anybody else on the council that I have not heard from? All right. Well, we're going to count that as folks are through talking for the morning. I really appreciate all of you being on the call this morning. It is the kind of information we receive from all of you on this council that helps us to move the needle at CMA. We believe in collaboration, partnerships, whatever we need to do to work together for the good of the people. That's what we do at CMA. We help to connect the dots. We help you connect the dots. We try to bridge the gaps in throughout all of our communities so that everyone has a fair opportunity to achieve success. And I appreciate everything that all of you do. I appreciate my staff for being on the call, and we look forward to future meetings. We're going to be moving into our new space by August, and I've requested that we have a huge room for meetings so that we can give Zoom a rest, hopefully, and be able to meet in person at least once this year. And we will still do online, of course, because this virus, we don't know what it's going to do, and we want to make sure that everyone remains safe. So therefore, we're going to keep doing what we do. We will keep you posted on what's going on. If there's anything you want from CMA, if you want us to partner with you on any endeavor, just let us know, and we are there. We will help you get to where you need to be, and you can help us help others in what we do. Any closing words before we end?
So Dolores, I would say that we are getting ready to do some press releases on some of this work we've been doing with Lester. And then we're also doing some work with another entrepreneur in our incubator, Chris Williams, on some drone certification stuff. So,
okay.
what I might do is reach out to you guys for a quote.
Absolutely.
And then maybe we'll get Greg Davis to pay for it since
Absolutely. Since he's not answering his call.
I just want to note for the record, you asked him about money and he did not answer. So I'm gonna make him buy me lunch next time I see him.
We will double team on Greg. We will definitely do that. Absolutely. Just tell us what you need and we will get it to you with no problems.
All right.
All right. Thank you all. And we will be speaking soon. In next quarterly meeting, we will send out that date to talk about that and some issues. But in the meantime, if there's something else you need assistance with, please send Anthony a note and he will let me know. And we are here to help and everything that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
all.
we'll talk soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Bye.
Great
y'all.
day.
Bye.
Bye now.